was so excited about having a chance to bring cellular service to this market. And while the engineers were building the network, I began spending the lion's share of every day scouting the market, getting to know the geography of the area, because that would be the geography of our business, and I wanted to know it, I wanted to understand it. So I called on business leaders, especially business leaders in the real estate and construction business. Just about everyone was willing to talk when they were told that a senior executive from the brand new cellular company was interested in hearing their thoughts about the local business area. So I did this really radical thing. I went out into the world and I listened. I listened carefully to what others had to say. I cared for what I was listening to, and I listened carefully. My goal was to simply to get folks to talk about their business, about their sense of the community, about their family, about what they hoped for in the future, so I could begin to see how cellular would fit into their picture. And a consensus soon grew in two areas. The first consensus, quite frankly, was rather depressing, and I began even to second guess whether or not I'd made the right decision to be a pioneer in the cellular industry. For so many of the men and women who I thought would be prime examples of early adopters, the forward-thinking real estate developers and brokers, so many of them were clear that they didn't need cellular service. They'd been fine without it. And yes, in fact, they'd become quite successful without it, so they didn't need it. In fact, many even talked about how wonderful it was in their busy lives to have the solitude of being in the car, to think about their business without being interrupted, without people calling on them as they were driving around in their car. And while a few were intrigued, I have to say, I was hard-pressed to consider that I saw any desire for cellular service. I heard that right away, that they knew that they didn't have a need for cellular service. I heard that right away. I was listening for that. It took me a little bit longer to hear what else I was hearing. It took me a few more days to understand what else I was hearing. And what else I was hearing was this extraordinary enthusiasm that these people had for what was going on economically in the Triangle. The growth of each individual community was extraordinary, and the people of those individual communities were so very proud of it and so looking forward to it to continue. The fact that these individual communities were starting to grow together into one metropolitan area was also something that these business leaders were excited about. They understood that that was going to be necessary for the Triangle to be a truly dynamic and successful business community. And this was happening. As we arrived with our cellular service, this was happening. The Triangle was just emerging, just arriving as a hot business area. And they knew that there was nothing but spectacular growth ahead, and these business leaders were proud and poised for this great opportunity.